Well, there it is, WTiiWarcraft here. A new patch has dawned upon us in the Warcraft 3 community. I'm going to go over the details. I've set up a map to display everything that's been mentioned. But first of all, we're going to take a quick look at the actual features that have come back. The most important one being single player. This actually works. I tested it last night. Even though the pings stated it was 100, it was like a flat 100. It felt very crisp, very accurate. Cheats were working, so this is a huge big deal for me. The only thing I would like is some function to be able to search for maps. This is something I would like in the custom game as well, but also for single player is there's no way to search for a specific type of map. That way you can save a lot of time, because if you've ever played a custom game of Warcraft 3 or a few, you may have got quite a lot in your download folder. As you can see, it's taken a while for me to load up my downloads, so yeah, being able to search through that with just a couple of letters would be very handy. So that's that. We do have an issue, though, that has come with the latest patch, and it's something that's upset many people, is they've lost their stats. So they've lost, essentially, all their icons. Whether that gets re-implemented or you just have to now earn those back, I do not know. And that still hasn't been fixed. The issue where I glitched out on the campaign, and therefore it didn't actually accept that I beat it on hard difficulty. And that's another thing, is some people are also saying they got issues with their campaign progress being lost, but for me, I haven't had that issue personally. So those are basically the main functions of this latest patch. Now there's a lot of micro details, so we're going to go over through the forum post and then go over people's criticisms. So I've put this all together so we can sort of go through this at a pretty quick pace. So I'm going to load up the custom game. Actually, let's go to single player because I can play it through there. Custom games. And let's have a look. So come out of that, go to other, go to WTiiWarcraft, go to Witty Maps, scroll down to my tester, which I made specifically for this. Well, the unit tester's been in existence since like 2014, but this specific patch has been mentioned. So that's going to take a while to load because it's reforged. I'm using reforged graphics to display most of this because essentially this is hitting reforged when it comes to the features. So for example, all melee units and buildings have received a team color polish pass to increase vibrancy and gameplay readability. It did feel like the colors were brighter, especially red initially. I've got a lot of red on this map and it pops a lot more, which is much better. So let's display that for you now. So here you can see all the red. It feels very bright and colorful, which is nice because, again, you want to see and identify your units. I've got a whole bunch of buildings here. They're very tiny for practicality purposes, but they do display different colors, so you can sort of get an idea for the colors: orange, gray, brown, blue, dark brown, dark green, sorry, green, pink, purple. So you can sort of identify the colors quite clearly there. So first of all, on the patch notes, let's have a look. Got to swap back and forth between this. Now, we have female demon hunter scaled up to match closely with the male demon hunter's silhouette. So yeah, that's definitely true. Female demon hunter is actually now, let's swap back.
The time has come.
And a door and a door.
Veronica.
We must act.
She's actually taller than Illidan. And I think that's how they kind of got around the issue that she's essentially slimmer, but she's a little bit taller, so proportionally they end up having a similar silhouette. Not sure she should be taller. I still think she looks incredibly bland and plain. I don't think she has any interesting characteristics face-wise, but I do like the classic version of her. Makes me giggle. I want more classic. Give me more classic. But I am looking at Reforged for this purpose of showing you the thing. I know, classic. We all love classic. Right, waterfall changed to replace textures. So, actually, I think the waterfall looks better in classic. I don't think the waterfall looks really much better in this. It still looks kind of janky to me. But there you go. There's the waterfall in all of its glory. Make of it what you will. We have the visual effect used for the first stage of buildings damaged, changed from smoke to fire. So I can't really remember the smoke off the top of my head, but if we take a look at these, that's 100%, that's 80%, that's 60%, 40%, 20% health. So those are the buildings on fire. So you can see there's 3 different stages of fire by the looks of it. And going back to the forum post, we have this done again for Town Hall, Keep, and Castle. So you've got Town Hall there, and then it's on fire. These are at 50%, so they're not full on fire, like 20%, but they're 50%. That's some fire to display that the player is in trouble. Castle's less obvious, but then again it is pretty tanky, so I guess you've got more time to react with the castle. Now we're going to go over the North End trees that have been updated to match classic visuals. There are now 4 visually distinctive tree wall sets. So in classic they don't look really much different, most of these, but in Reforged they do actually. I mean, at least the trees look pretty good. So you got North End icy tree wall, North End tree wall, snowy tree wall, and scorched tree wall in said order. So here we have, there you go, there you go, there you go, there you go. They are actually distinctly different. So 4 different styles of tree, whereas in classic they actually, these 3 look the same. Those ones look different. But yeah, I guess that's fine, isn't it? It's a little extra. So footprints, this is your favorite. Everyone likes the footprints. Everyone gets very focused on the footprints, but it's been updated for trolls, undead units, and vehicles. I didn't really bother showing undead units rather, because it just talks about missing footprints, and I don't know which ones were missing. But I have got trolls for you. Lots of trolls. So you know how the Naga recently got their sliver footprint? Well, trolls now have their free toed footprint, because they've got 2 toes at the front and like that one sort of heel at the back. It's hard to see. I'll try to display it, but it is there. But see if you can make of that what you will. I can see it on my screen, so you can see the heel and then the 2 toes. So every troll unit in the game basically has their own distinctive... Well, they have that 3-toed, 2-toed, 1 heel footprint. So let's, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that's the main thing. Fix an issue with the female Demon Hunter's hero icon. Oh yeah, that wasn't relevant to show. Tusker Trapper now throws his own spear when attacking. I mean, I can't remember how it looked beforehand, but he is a Tusker Trapper. Oh yeah, that's definitely thrown his own spear, and then obviously he replaces it as the animation finishes. So do you like the way this is being done? I put a bit of extra time and effort to sort of set everything up to display what is going on in the patch. Portrait animations have been updated for the following units, so we're going to take a look at those units right now. So I think the main thing to be taken from this is there's slightly less weird gloss.
Kick down, Sparky.
And Sorceress's eyes look better. High elves still have a bit of gloss going on that you can sort of see. I wouldn't say the gloss has been totally removed, because it still looks kind of glaringly weird and disturbing.
What news?
But it is improved. So there is that to take into account. Those are all the models that the patch was referring to. Okay. Back we go. Reduced violence mode updates. So female Death Knight now has corrected visuals for spellcasting, and Ogre Magi no longer disappears. I saw that, I think that was in a Back to Warcraft clip, where the Ogre Magi was just randomly disappearing when attacking. He was still there, he would just disappear for no real reason. And that was like a really weird glitch, because I don't think that was caught during beta at any point. It just sort of popped up out of nowhere. But he's not disappearing at any point.
Okay.
My vengeance is yours.
He is the Death Knight, female Death Knight, throwing a Death Coil.
At last.
Looks perfectly fine for Reforged, I suppose. I think originally she used to have this kind of like glow come off of her as well, her model, whenever she threw a Death Coil. So there you go. There's that. Some of these, you know, they've never been a problem for me, or nothing that I really had to deal with. So that's all of the animations shown off. We've gone over the custom games. So single player now being reinitiated, which is really, really, really good. And fix multiple crashes, which is like an extra bonus for a streamer like me that tends to play a lot of custom hero survival and can barely ever get through a custom hero survival without it crashing at some point. We'll have to find out whether that's true, whether it affects the custom hero survivals that crash at the start, or specifically around the level 17 to 22 mark when players start to max out their abilities when they've gone with random mode, random ability mode. There's been several fixes applied to instance API natives related to unit attacks. There's some Blizzard Common J stuff. I mean, of course, we all know what that means. The export all option in the asset manager now functions correctly, so that's for editor, map makers. Destructibles flagged as walkable no longer cause desyncs between classic and reforged, so I think that was something that used to cause people to desync if they perhaps went over a specific terrain type. I don't really remember this issue, but I have had desyncs in multiplayer 4 versus 4 RT, even on the latest patch. Not on this patch specifically because I haven't played on it yet, but on the previous patch I was still getting those issues. The troll mercenary unit selection circles now smaller and more aligned with classics. We can have a look at these trolls. It looks like they do more tightly resemble around the model that they are actually assigned to. Whereas I think the previous circles used to be like around that size. And obviously not a square. All neutral unit selections, so that's the same. Creep camps are easier to display on the mini-map. Are they though? Do we have any creep camps that I can display on this? I don't think so. But you'll just have to take their word for it on that one. I can't display that. And the permanent morphing units such as the obsidian statue will no longer display their previous or disabled morph ability icon. Okay, so we can have a quick look at that, and you can make of that what you will. Avid undead players of Reforged, this is for you.
Research complete.
So there he is. He's going to morph. There you go. It's amazing. He breaks free from his chains. Excellent. We're all happy. So you got game lighting adjusted to improve Reforged readability and colors. So again, vibrancy, just stuff standing out. Doom guards, so you have the correct sounds. Forest trolls no longer play the berserk when casting in snare. Alchemist and flesh golems apparently have improved facial animations and acknowledgement sounds. I do have those.
You'll love my new recipe. I'll get that mixed up.
I can't remember when they changed it. It might have been the previous patch, but they changed him to blue. And it looks so much better now. It's just that's part of the issue. Is it's just, even though it's based on a hobgoblin, I think, and they're in like World of Warcraft, and they're the sort of goblins' little sort of servants to a degree, or buddies. It does look a lot better as blue for readability. There's the flesh golem. It's an abomination. I mean, he is an abomination, but he also sounds like an abomination.
I'm all stocked and ready to go. I'll shake that right up.
So remember...
You got it. Care for a cocktail?
Everyone thinks that it's this guy is the alchemist. But the alchemist is actually the dude that's on top.
I'll get that mixed up.
So when you click on him, you can actually see his mouth moving.
Wanna blow something up? I'm all stocked and ready
But
to
I
go.
do also personally feel like he is the alchemist. The blue actual ogre is the alchemist, because you're just so used to seeing so much of him as part of the icon. Alright, so we're going to go over some forum highlights soon. The sepia tone backgrounds in classic mode have been reverted. Yep, so now you don't have those sepia tones, so rejoice over that, I guess. And use command button for hotkeys on Mac now functions as expected, so good job there, Mac users. Now let's have a look at some highlighted comments. So Kaito says, what about collection? Is this another bug? Or maybe you've decided to wipe out the whole game history and I have to play around 450 games again to get my Tinker's portrait from scratch. We went over that earlier. I don't know what that is. I haven't seen a Blizzard post so far that's addressed that issue. We can have a quick look at the general discussion as it is at this point. And see if there's anything that mentions that from Blizzard. So nothing up here. There's no blue posts. So again, communication is an issue. That is something that I'll raise later on. Coraceous says we have the best footprints, the most amazing footprints. Everyone is going to get their own footprint, even if they don't have feet. We have our best people working on this, very smart and intelligent people. Only most finest footprints artisans. So yeah, I thought that's a funny comment. Sexy says, in all seriousness, thank you for releasing a patch and thank you for continuing to work on the game. With that being said, please let us know when you are going to be working on ladder. Oh yeah, that's another thing, if I didn't mention it. The ladder has now sort of... The Pad's ladder no longer works in this patch. Maybe he has to just update it and that's all that needs to be done. But apparently I've been hearing that doesn't work for people that were using Pad's ladder. So this is what we need. Working ladder with profiles and stats. Making names in free-for-all anonymous. Improved matchmaking, ping and desyncs. There's still lag apparently. 400 ping games. Again, I haven't played anything since this patch came out, but I've been hearing that there's ping issues. Separating RT and AT is an absolute must. I have only played a few games where I've been against an arranged team, but I didn't have to ask the enemy team whether they were an arranged team. It was very obvious they were an arranged team. You can very distinctly tell the difference between super tryhards, all coordinating attacks and movements, almost as if they're moving as one group, versus your random team that is just all over the place. It's that kind of, oh, that guy's a map hacker. That kind of paranoia. But it's very obvious to tell when there's an arranged team group that you're fighting against. Thankfully, it's not very frequent, so I don't know if they're ever going to separate this, but that would always be preferred that they do separate it, because it's stupid when you do have to fight against an arranged team, because there's obviously no chance. Disconnection, protection. Oh yeah, in before they say the arranged teams are going to have a higher MMR, so it makes it more equal, so you're going to have the better random team players against those arranged teams. Arranged team versus random team, no matter which way you slice it, is always going to be insanely favored towards the arranged team, so don't give me one of those comments trying to make it as if it can be made to be balanced. It ain't. Disconnection protection, a way to rejoin the game within a window of time. What? Oh, right. I was going to say, I thought for a second, I almost tricked myself into thinking that was a feature that they implemented. No, this would be nice. That would be very nice, because disconnection still happen as far as I know. Improved slow, clunky menus and loading screens. Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people have issues with that. I would prefer to improve the actual loading of games, because typically my first 4 versus 4 RT game of the day will be very slow to start. Sometimes I can walk away from my computer for like 5 minutes knowing that it's not going to start within that time frame. And the same goes for like hosting a map or a custom game, and that's without playing on reforged graphics. If it is with reforged graphics, it's going to be even longer, but sometimes even just classic, it can take ages to just load games now. First and foremost, a working ladder with profiles. Yeah, so all of that kind of stuff we would like to see. Ripper says, what a joke. Hey guys, can we please have what we had for years? How is this remotely acceptable? To put out this poorly slapped together product and pretend it's some sort of upgrade. No ladders, no clans, worse interface. There are so few actual improvements that this game is no way makes up for what has been taken away from the community so many months later. With the worst communication imaginable, and no sign of giving the players what they're asking for. Grateful to have refunded this mess. So I'm highlighting positive comments and negative comments. There's a lot of negative comments. There's always going to be in forums. You got to remember, it's much better. A forum post like this stands out to my eyes much more efficiently than the rest, and it will probably do likewise for Blizzard. So if you really want to get improvements, please try to highlight clearly and coherently what it is you're trying to say. If you just sort of shout at Blizzard, they're not going to listen. So here you go. There's another post that's a bit more clear. Win rate appears to be lost. Icon progress appears to be lost. At least it's addressing the issues, objectively. Despite the above, last selected icon still shows in chat. Despite above, no profile ladder. Background layout is now always reforged graphics. Pretty impressive that in 1.5 month, a marginal patch is released when against creates mayhem. So I think you shouldn't really give the excuse, but with the whole sort of, global situation, you could actually have at least some partially excuse for the patch to not be as efficient as they would like, but they haven't shown in previous times that the patching that they've been doing is essentially efficient anyway. Thanks for the patch, says Yun Yun. Solo mode is clearly a step forward. Yes, it is. It's a huge one for me, that single player. That's one of the things I was really upset about, not having a single player mode. Like, I need it to be 0 ping. I need to be able to test maps, because this is a big deal for me for when it comes to like prioritizing certain maps to be played on the stream or for the YouTube channel, as well as working out sort of the tricks when it comes to custom tower defenses, specifically, mostly working out which towers are good and which tower defenses can be sort of a challenge. So a solo version of a multiplayer experience with tower defenses can be a lot of fun, because there's a lot of stuff to handle for one player in those circumstances where it's supposed to be for 8 players. But I like those kind of challenges. It's like when I did Skeletal Annihilation, an OP Monster map. That was like a hero defense map, but I tried to solo it. It took a long time to work out how to solo that map, but it was a lot of fun because you're not necessarily supposed to do it. I've always enjoyed challenges. I would have loved to have had challenges implemented into Reforged, a bit like they had with Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. So you have to complete the economic challenges, so it teach new players, but it also be cool for veteran players to sort of get the platinum star or platinum version where you do it at the fastest speedrun time possible. Oregano says this doesn't even come close to righting your wrongs. This is, again, a very underwhelming patch filled with fixes. I gotta say, this patch is by far the most... I mean, it's a bit of a catch-22 because they've taken away like the ladder and stats. I assume that's a bug or an issue more than something that was designed to be implemented with this patch, so that might be something that gets hotfixed back. But the single player, again, we had these things before Reforged came out. I know. I did a whole bloody video on it. Have you not seen why Warcraft 3 Reforged failed? You might want to watch that video. It's got over 200,000 views. I went over everything incredibly objectively as to what we haven't got that we did used to have. But I'm still very happy to have single player come back. That's a huge deal for me. And we need to have those features dripping back. We've got to accept that Reforged ain't going to be fixed for any time soon. I still think it could be like over a year potentially before we get everything back. So every month or two, if we could get like ladder then back, and then custom campaigns back, and then a disconnection ability to relog. Although that was never really technically with Classic, that was with bots, but still, you know, a function like that would be fantastic for people that get disconnected from custom games, because it really sucks. That can kill custom games. That can kill multiplayer games. It'd be nice if the 4 versus 4 RT player that just disconnected would be able to come back. Although most of them deliberately leave. But for custom games, it sometimes just ruins the game. Like you can't really continue, or it's game over because it's no longer fair. Tricky says, thank you for the patch. I'm still waiting for more improvements before I decide to buy this game again. Ladder, regional matchmaking, closer parity to graphics presented during BlizzCon. So that's another one asking for something. This is an important post from Kellergeist. Just give an estimated timetable when you expect each problem to be solved. That's transparency, and no one can be pissed off. They will be pissed off if they get the timetable wrong, though. So if they suggest something's going to be done by September and it doesn't, that's why they don't really communicate. But I think people would prefer you to communicate and get it wrong than to just not communicate. But obviously, if you don't communicate, there's less that you can be held accountable for. So it's one of those things that they balance. But it's never appreciated if you just don't say anything, because the community needs to know, especially when these are features that we should be getting. These are not features that are like bonus. These are things that we should have had. And that was just mentioned that Pad's ladder is broken, apparently. So as far as I know, that doesn't work. I wasn't utilizing it myself, but for those that use it, I don't think you have it anymore. And there you have it. Those are the Warcraft 3 Reforged version 1.32.4 patch notes. Hopefully this video was entertaining, insightful, and just went over everything that was implemented. And you have a nice day, because I think I've gone on long enough. Take care. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe. Thumbs up. Twitch.tv/Witty. Patreon.com/WTiiWarcraft. Let me know if you like the format with how I implemented this. I tried to implement it in a fashion that would be able to go over all of the features that were mentioned and try to do it somewhat quickly, but probably went on a little bit long. So anyway, thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.